Hello guys, welcome back to another video. Today we're doing something that I've been really keen to do again since I tried it a couple years ago, and that's skate fishing. So we're fishing off the rocks here. You can see my rods set up behind me, they're not cast out yet. And we're going to be fishing into this channel of water. The baits are going to be pretty massive. I'm just getting ready to set them up. So we're actually going to take them out in a sieve to get out far enough. So what we have here is a 10-0 hook, and see the barb there has been dremeled off, so it's totally barbless, as well as sharpened with a hook sharpener. I think that's 250 pound mono, which then goes up to a sliding weight. It's on the main braided line there, that's 90 pound line, to a bead, and then another heavy duty swivel just tied on there. Then the actual weight, which is 240 grams gripper, that's just on a weak link of 20 pound mono there. Basically hoping if I hook a fish that just breaks off. When we do put the baits out, if we wind them back in, that's too weak, it'll probably just go, but I'd rather risk that than it going solid on a fish with heavier stuff. So what we have rod wise is 3 Ron Thompson Accelerator beach casters, and then on the reels we have 3 Daiwa BGs, and that's 90 pound braid on there, so that should be more than enough. So we have 2 rods on this tripod and 2 on this, 3 beach casters, and the other one is just a dead cheap thing I've got with some random reel I had, just to chuck out a small scratching rig just to pass the time before I cast out the big skate baits. So that one will be coming in shortly. But in the meantime, and before my dad gets here and we take the baits out, I'm going to put the baits on the hooks, whip them on with a lot of strong elastic, start the sieve out, bring it down to the rocks, and then hopefully we'll be good to go. Take the baits out and hopefully get a run or two. We're here for 2 nights. This is the first night. It's about 6-7 o'clock just now. Fish through the night. Tomorrow it's to be dry during the day, at least because it's been raining today. So we're just going to relax, do some more fishing, fish that night, and then leave first thing the next morning after that. So we have 2 nights. Night's normally the best time for them. So hopefully we get a run or two. Excuse the midgie net. There's a few midgies about. I don't know if you can see them crawling all over me, but that's just because the wind stopped. But anyway, I'm going to crack on and putting the baits on. So we've got a selection of baits. First off, heavy duty elastic. We've got an octopus. We've got a dogfish and some mackerel. So I think to start with, 1 rod with an octopus, the other 2 rods is going to be half a dogfish and a mackerel. So I'm going to get them baited up just now. Great start. Well, I think I have another knife somewhere. They do say that dogfish are pretty tough, so there you go. That knife was £5 to be fair, so I'll probably stay away from that one. I'm just whipping these 2 bits of baits together, the half dogfish and the mackerel, before I thread the hook through. They're still kind of frozen, so putting the hook through might be a bit of a challenge, especially through the dogfish, because it skins like leather, as you'd probably know if you've caught them, which most sea anglers have. Apparently they taste alright. I've never eaten one. Interesting, if any of you have, let me know in the comments. First wrap's done. I'm going to get away from these midges for a minute. So what I'm just doing now is doing a lot of wraps around the shank of the hook here to stop it moving, because last time I had a run here, the skate chewed the hook and basically pushed it into the bait, so I didn't get the point of the hook. Shout out to the great lads I met here last time, Glenn, Dan, Mikey, Josh. I learned a lot from you guys. Hope to see you up here again some other time if you're watching. But I'm going to keep on doing this until it feels solid, because obviously the crushing power of these fish's mouths is no joke. So you really have to make sure this thing is secure. I've seen people using cable ties. Makes sense. You can see why.
It was then time to launch the SIB. Lifting this and the engine up and down the rocks was challenging to say the least, but we were able to launch and retrieve it a good 4 or 5 times without presenting too much of a challenge for us.
Yeah. Yeah.
To get the baits onto the sib, my dad swung the baits out for me to grab a hold of. I would then pull down on these to get the leads. I would hold the leads and the hook tightly so there was no chance of putting a hole in my inflatable boat. Once I had these, I headed out to sea with them, and dropped the baits off once I felt like we were a reasonable distance out, but still with plenty line left on the reels. This massive and ominous looking boat appears through the mist. I thought it was a good representation of what skate fishing feels like. There's not many types of fishing where you feel nervous about getting a run. And with that, it was time to settle in for the night and hope for a run.
Good morning, it's the morning of the next day after our first night, and we had one run. So I woke up about 1:30, 2 o'clock, and one of the rods was peeling off. Picked it up, one down, and it was on for a good half an hour, and it started to pull up towards the surface. It got its nose up and it was coming in, and then the hook just pulled out. Nothing snapped, everything looked perfect. So who knows what that was about, but at least we got a run. We then pulled in the next 2 rods first thing this morning, and they were both pretty covered in weeds, so I don't know if they were even fishing last night. So we just rebaited them to take out again, just before we launch the sib again. So we've got a mackerel and half a dogfish there. That's 2 octopus, one from last night and then a new one whipped on. And then that one across there is half a dogfish and a fresh mackerel as well. So we're going to try and launch this sib again, take out the baits, hopefully get another run. Great, thank you. Is that enough for me to get an outboard?
Outboard? Yeah, well, let me outboard. Well, outboard's way above.
To pass the time during the day, there was plenty to do, such as taking the amazing scenery, as well as watching some of the wildlife, like these otters. There's also this strange looking moth which showed up to occupy our minds whilst the fishing was quiet. A cooked lunch also kept us fueled up, but I couldn't resist having a cast with a spinning rod in these crystal clear waters in front of us. It was quiet, with no fish on any lure I tried, but we did have a bite on our scratching rig. A dogfish is better than no fish. As the light faded, my hopes increased, hoping to be woken up by a rod screaming off, which, fortunately, I did.
There we go. There we go. Okay. Okay. I can't tell what's going on here. That feels more like a skate. Yeah, there we go. That's him.
The skate was hooked, but it was holding onto the bottom for a long time. These long periods were often interrupted by the skate peeling line off the reel.
Oh no, I've just fallen back at this bit of line.
After more holding deep, we eventually got the fish's head up, enough to gain a lot of line on it. It was moving in at a decent pace, getting right to our feet, and after about an hour 45-ish, it managed to burrow back down to the bottom of the water, just as the water shallowed up as it got near our feet.
I think I might have settled again.
It held tight here for several more hours. At this point, we were able to walk out with the falling tide and get right on top of the fish. To put even more pressure on it, we carefully handlined it, just enough for it to come off the bottom and emerge at our feet.
After all that.
There's like those parasite things.
You got it, Craig. Put that happy birthday. There's one on his nose, look.
There's a team effort.
Well done, you're getting it.
Yeah. What's that? Yes, definitely, yeah. Well, that was a massive effort. But we finally got it. Here it is. The fish I've been after for ages. My dad's just grabbing the pliers. We're going to get the hook out, get a couple photos, and get it back. So, we're going to be beached here for a minute, and then I'll be straight back in after a couple of photos. Oh, I mean, look how well in there they are. Oh god. Oh.
We then took some measurements of its length and wingspan, and after consulting with the conversion charts, this female skate weighs in at approximately 185 pounds, with a wingspan of 64 inches and a length of 83 inches. With the use of a rod rest, I dislodged the barbless bronzed hook when my dad finished the job by hand.
Go get my jacket's stuck.
Excellent. Nice one.
After a quick few photos to commemorate this moment, it was time to release the beast back into the depths. This video is really interesting, as you can see the exact moment the skate goes from floating around in the swell to diving back down to the bottom.
Well, that's it. We did it. We finally got one. It was a lot of effort, and what was that, like 4 hours, was it, Dad? Five. Like 5 hours of pulling it in. It just went heavy and it wasn't moving. We ended up basically walking out, and my dad kind of pulled it in with his hands, which is risky. You know, could potentially have snapped it, but it was a bronze barbless hook, so it wasn't as much of a worry. But it was basically just knackered, I think. It was just sitting there, because the first bit of the fight was done in kind of an hour and a half, and it just sat there and we couldn't move it. We weren't sure if it was snagged. Once the tide starts to drop away a bit, we could get out a bit further and we could see the actual fish. So there we go. So we pulled him up, landed him, quick measurements, and I'll put in the estimated weight once I've done all that, because right now I'm freezing and I'm absolutely soaking, so I'm going to chuck the stuff in the car and get headed home. But this is how much it weighed from the conversion charts and the size. I'm so happy I finally did it. Whew, I can get out of this well place now and go home. But thanks for watching, catch you later.